Good
Acha,
afternoon,
acha, okay.
everyone. We'll wait for a few minutes until everyone joins.
Kushbu, I think we can start now.
On behalf of BML Munjal University, I welcome you all to the fireside chat session with Mr. Mohit Kumar. A heartfelt welcome, Mr. Mohit, and thank you for accepting our invitation.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Mohit is associated with Hindalco Industries, a part of Aditya Birla Group, as Joint President Human Resources. He is a human capital strategist with 24 years of experience in different facets of human resource management in strongly HR oriented organizations. Prior to Hindalco, he has worked with many companies like Idea Cellular Limited, Infotech India Limited, SRF Limited, to name a few. Mr. Mohit has managed large and complex business challenges like rapid business growth, rapid manpower ramp up, ramp down mergers, joint ventures, cross culturally adept, having worked with different parts of the country and with businesses, HR teams, and from over 12 countries. He is actively involved in leadership coaching and development, internal development assessment centers, talent, and various other quality HR interventions toward creating learning and winning organization. I am sure that this session is going to be very helpful and very learning for all of us and urge the audience to put up a questions in question and answer section. Now, I would like to hand over the session to you, sir.
Thank you so much for your kind words and the warm welcome. So that reminds me of my college days when we used to wait for these sessions with the industry, and it is like picking up the concepts in the classroom and learning about the application from the people from the industry. So uh, happy to be of use to our young minds. Right, so something more about me, apart from what Kushbu has introduced, right? So I had, as far my education is concerned, so I had a science stream till plus two, and thereafter, and I used to love physics and chemistry, right? And thereafter, from physics, I moved to metaphysics. My graduation was in philosophy and psychology in the city of Lucknow, and then did my MBA from Kolkata, different organizations, as which were mentioned, uh, in different parts of the country, all over the country. So that was a time when when India was opening up, and that is where the career started in '94. Now it's 27 years. My LinkedIn profile is not updated for last 3 years. so, uh, so earlier it was the northern part in Delhi and Nainital. Also, I was posted in a factory, lovely place. We posted at, right, and then a lot of time in South. Bangalore and Hyderabad. Bangalore was with ITC Infotech and Hewlett Packard uh, Global Soft, and Hyderabad with Idea, and thereafter Indore and Lucknow with Idea. Currently with Mumbai. So that's great to be here. It's always exciting. It's always inspiration for me personally to interact with the young minds. I also have two daughters, almost perhaps your age. Right, they are 21 and 18, maybe a little bit, we will be a little bit elder to them. It's always a challenge thrown to me in terms of revisiting my own learning till now. So personally, interacting with the young people is always uh, learning experience for myself as well, actually. And that is where I would love this session to be interactive instead of a monologue, so that both of us can have a learning experience, right? And that's fair ask actually, right?
Yes, sir.
Not only that you learn, I also learned something from you. And obviously the enthusiasm and the passion that you bring in, that itself is quite energizing. That itself is a learning for people like me actually. So good with that, Khushbu, and over to you, and then we can start the interaction, right?
Sure, sir. So I'll ask few questions that I'm sure everybody is curious to know about. So, as you have experience of working with people from different backgrounds in different countries, what are the challenges you have faced while working with these diversified individuals?
All right. And this diversity you're referring in terms of the global diversity or the diversity within India?
The diversity, global diversity.
All right. So I'll share my two of the experiences with respect to global diversity, where I feel that assignment where I could have done a little better, and the second instance that where I actually did well actually. Right? So when I was in ITC Infotech, we were working on the joint venture for ITES services. Now there are so many ITES companies, right? ITES, I hope you know that the BPOs that we call business process outsourcing, and ITS is a small part of the BPO industry. From ITC Infotech, when I was in Learning Center, I was assigned to do the research for the Indian ITS industry with a view that we'll have our own joint venture in the ITES. And the overall game plan was that it's a foot in the door strategy. Once you enter the customer's domain, then you can move up the value chain, up to IT consulting. So when we actually went for the joint venture, I was moved in over there as the HR head. And since our global partner had operations in 35 countries, so we had quite a mix of the workforce over there. My peers, they were from different nationalities like US or the European countries or Mexico. My own team members, since I was handling HR and training as well, so they were from different countries like Britain and Australia and the European countries. My peers, they were Indians and Americans. My boss, that is CEO, he was an American, and the CEO was a Dutch person. Right? So that's complete potpourri over there actually. That's a complete mix of the nationalities, and I had around some 8-9 years experience that point of time. Right? Mandate to me was that make the joint venture success, and also have the culture of the parent organization over there. I was representing one part of the parent organization. It's a 50:50 joint venture. Typically, you'll see different ratios. So that was a quite tough ask in terms of making the business successful and ensuring that the culture part of it represents my parent organization where I came from. So everything went well in the beginning, right? In terms of when we're scaling up from 0 to 1,000, setting up the processes, setting up the structures, getting the business, getting the clients, right, and speeding up, learning, improving the processes, and the business got going actually. Now it comes to that who runs the organization. Whether it is my parent organization or it is the joint venture organization. So that is the cultural differences where it started coming in, where we used to have great parties together. Somewhere when we started representing our respective organizations, right, culturally, obviously the conflicts start happening. And I must admit that in that kind of demanding ask from the culture point of view, my 8 years experience was not enough to manage. And the demands on my role was that I should ensure that the parent organization's culture is there. So it didn't work that well actually. And because of the conflict, the stress also increased. And finally, I left the place and joined the next organization. In the next organization, again, I had the opportunity of handling this kind of assignment where we had to ramp down the organization in line with the global IT restructuring. So 18,000 resources were there globally, and 9,000 of those resources were in India. So, and we had to bring it down to half globally, and of course, the major chunk was supposed to be from India actually. And for that, I had to work with my HR partners in Singapore and US and Europe, and also my business partners are again sitting all over the globe, from Australia, Japan, Vietnam, Korea. Germany was the big chunk, so was Mexico, and so was US and the European countries, and India was the major chunk. So over here, it started in the beginning with kind of you introducing yourself from India. India is a large organization, and thereafter, in the beginning, you don't have that kind of a rapport or the respect or the authority from your partners. But the more value you create for the partners, the more respect and the authority you start getting in the venture. So it starts with building your relationship with Singapore, leveraging Singapore to kind of convince Germany, and leveraging Singapore and Germany to convince US. And in the process, you're building strong personal relationships also. My learning over here is that it may start with lack of trust, that what is this guy doing, right? From the India organization. On the other hand, once you interact uh, deeper, people understand you as a person, not as a nationality. Right? So the learning for me is to have much deeper relationships, and mm, figure out the the next possible together, instead of holding on to what you represent and what the other party represent. uh, when you come together, what is the next possible together? And so that's the beauty of the cross cultural uh, engagements, and that is what my learning was. So when at one place I was not that successful, the business went well, but what was the possibility together? That possibility could not be fully utilized. But in the other instance, which was even more complex, but because of the deeper relationships with people, not as nationalities, the what was next possible, that really happened well actually. So I've written a book on that. Maybe sometimes I'll share with you that how that uh, complex assignment was handled. That's a part of a book actually. So sometimes I'll share that. So it's basically about connecting with people as people.
So here you told us about your skills that you developed over time while switching from one business to another, handling one project to another. So talking about students like us, what are the attributes or skill you look for while hiring an MBA student like me, or for students who are doing MBA right now?
Oh, so there can be many things, but if I have to simply put it, I'll say we're looking for art actually, right? That is the achievement orientation, that you have the fire in the belly to you have dreams, right? And you have uh, you want to create, or you want to achieve something in life. That is, and for that you're looking for getting results for yourself and for the people and the organization that you come together. The R will be the relationship, right? Everything, management is a team sport. So how well do you leverage how well do you offer your strengths to others, and how well do you leverage the strengths of others? Are you okay in seeking help? Are you okay in proactively giving help? How strong is the relationship? It's all about relationships, right? Understanding self and understanding others well. What is that? And the T is a thinking part, because that is what decides the flight of the people actually. Right? So it's art actually that I look for, and if we break it down, then there are many things in that. That thinking part, that is what is the conceptual depth, what's your personal vision actually, not about the organization, and the relationship part in nutshell. Otherwise, we can have 1 hour discussion on this itself, right?
So, a student containing art has the ability and gets into an organization. After that, how can one make a good impression in a new job?
Okay. So be true to yourself. I'll say that this, yeah, impression is important. It's important to be aware of how people think of you. More important is being true to yourself, being true to your own dreams, being true to your own convictions, being true to your own values. So that is the first. That's a I think that's the basic actually and people do notice in terms of whether you carry yourself as an individual well with your own convictions, your own values. And we have been hired because it makes a match. That is where the person gets hired at. Thereafter, it's important to be proactive in the organization, right? People are busy in the organization. So instead of waiting for the clarity, you yourself initiate and get the clarity. I can give one example. When I joined my first job, so I was reporting into GM HR. So he gave me one um, survey for the young engineers, right? Thinking that I'll be away for 3 months, kind of will do survey and then come back with a report. I met all the young engineers 2 weeks time and submitted the report to him that it's done. And these are the recommendations and these are the actions and this is what I'm going to action now. And then he's wondering what to give me next. Then he gave me base salary survey for the industry. Again, thinking that at least for 3 months he'll keep me away, right? So base salary survey also was a new thing for me. It goes into our long-term settlements and the factory setup. So I met all the industry people over there, and I was in Faridabad, Ballabgarh area. And it got over, say, in 2 weeks' time, and 1 week time it took in terms of the reports and the recommendation. 3 weeks' time, again, I'm back to him. It's like, no, Aladdin Kajan, you know. So he's again wondering what to give to me. And a young person, how to keep engaged. Right? He gave me the responsibility for the ISO 9000 implementation. So that also I was handling, but it was not fully occupying me. So he gave me the responsibility of handling union also, that in the beginning he had not thought of. That also kept going. And again, I'm going to him that I'm not fully occupied. So give me more types. Then he gave me the responsibility of reviving an old shut plant in Alwar, Rajasthan, actually, at that age, which is kind of a good learning for me. So I just give an example to say that how do you kind of, it's not about making an impression, it's about being true to yourself. It's about being true to your art, actually. Right? That is achievement orientation, relationship building, and thinking that do you really want to make a difference to the world, and for which you utilize the job as a platform for that. Actually, job itself as such is not the end by itself. It's a means towards creating the impact uh, that you want to create in this world, actually, isn't it?
So, sir, to create an impression or to learn the art, what apart from academics, what would you like to recommend any other area to students to work upon to enhance their employability?
Oh, absolutely. Okay, you're talking about in the campus itself, right?
Yes, sir.
This is one of the examples. See the way learning happens, and you guys will be going through the organization behavior and the organization psychology, and obviously the learning part is
Yes.
there in that, right? So the way the adult learning happens is like social learning, actually. Right? Your the people who are enthusiastic about the learning theories is a Bandura and Bandura learning theory, right? So you learn by uh, observing others, actually, right? Most of our behaviors as adults get acquired by observing, right? And in the process, sometimes consciously and sometimes subconsciously, we absorb those right behaviors. So the more of those opportunities we create for ourselves, whether individually or as a campus collectively, the more the thing, more possibility of learning it practically, actually, right? Whether it be now there are many forums compared to when we were doing our MBA. This is one of the forums that we have created, and it's quite possible by technology. Otherwise, somebody has to come in person and do it. This is only one of the forums. Then you have social media is full of the opportunities over there. So kind of creating that environment around yourself where you're able to observe and absorb, right? And a lot of that absorbing will be subconscious, creating those forums, right? Creating those networks of learning, actually. So while you are in the campus, the other campuses also. So what is happening over there, right? In terms of what is that they are doing, right? This is one industry that you're interacting with, or this is one person that you're interacting with, right? What is happening different kinds of industry, different kinds of professions, different kinds of leaders. Right? What is happening is now the pace of change is too fast. Right? So how much we are keeping pace with that, and also in that we're figuring out where is my niche and where is my interest. Actually, I don't need to absorb everything, but at least the exposure gives me an idea that this is what I want to do, and then I can dig deeper into that. So it's kind of observing, applying, and obviously going back to your fundamentals and conceptual work as well.
So, what have been the most satisfying moments for you in your corporate life?
Yeah. So as like you, when I was pretty young, at a certain point of time, and I had dreams of creating the impact, and I always took job as a platform to create the larger impact. Actually, not as a uh, end in itself. Actually, so just to tell you that when I was doing my psychology and philosophy, I was also working on a lot of social entrepreneurship, like teaching the underprivileged children, right? So before joining corporate, or before joining MBA, actually, so I used to teach around 40 people, 40 young children, say 5 to 10 years, kind of kaka gaga, and the thought was that this will take care of only 40 people actually, and that to basic literacy, and they have to go back to their restaurant that they are working with, wherever their parents are working, or a puncture shop or whatever. There's so many, this maybe 40 lakhs, maybe 40 crores in India who have to be taken care of. So the education upliftment is possible only through the economic upliftment, and that is where the thought of MBA came in. Otherwise, I would have perhaps gone into research. Right. So, uh, so, so wherever there's an opportunity to create more and more of employment, that is where I felt really excited. So this joint venture which I was talking about, the ITC's joint venture, where it was a totally new organization to be created, a new sector for India. That point of time, IT was not well established in India. Small players were there, but organizations like ITC and all coming into that, that was a big thing happening for the ITS industry itself. So setting up that organization, and while setting up that organization, I also created the ITS Association for Bangalore, right? So that there can be exchange of knowledge between the organizations, and also the people have different purposes. So one of the purpose was no poach understanding, all those things, which was not my purpose. It was like, how do you learn from each other, because we were new in that space, right? How do we learn from each other and take the our own organization and take the industry also forward, the Indian industry forward. That was one of the most satisfying moment for me. The other was that when there's a complex assignment, so when I was in Hewlett Packard, the assignment was that of ramp down, bringing down the jobs actually. While I'm a person who likes to create jobs actually. So how do you do that sensitively, right? Without the business getting impacted, without the people getting impacted, and that's a complex thing to handle. The people part is also not impacted. The easier thing is that give them 3 months notice and ask them to go, but that's not that. Then what's the purpose of you being over there? So how do we ensure that uh, people are also taken care of in different parts of the businesses or in the industry outside our organization where people are being hired? Unfortunately, that time it was not a slowdown. And also the business impact, business is not compromised in terms of we being people focused. So both parts, how do you handle? So handling that part, we got the award for best business aligned HR strategy. So that recognition kind of, after a tiring day, suppose you get a good meal or good recognition. So it was like that. So we got it for the best business aligned HR strategy from CIA. So that was one of the good moments. There are many good moments, but this is what I can think of. The other uh, is like in idea, setting up or kind of building in the internal capabilities for coaching and assessment centers. That's the building capabilities for and it has a ripple effect inside the organization and outside the organization in terms of the building the people capabilities. So that kind of thing, kind of creating something new, creating something big, right? That is what has been the high points or satisfying moments for me.
And so it says like with great power comes great responsibility, and with great responsibility you have to make many decisions. But what was one decision you feel that changed your life?
In the corporate or before the corporate?
In your life, like
In my life, the decision that changed my life was, kind of getting in touch with what I really want. Right. So I was a good student, and that was going against me because typically during my uh, era, a good student means you're supposed to go either for medical or either for IITs because you're good, right? So go for IITs or go for medical, और नहीं हो पा रहा वो तो आईएएस बन जाओ पीसीएस बन जाओ ठीक है so and I had no interest in any of these things actually, right? So while I was doing my plus two, and my friends also came to me that typically middle class people will kind of share the expenses of taking a coaching class. So one person will take the coaching and the coaching correspondence courses, and two or three persons will share. So that was I was also told. I was also asked by my friends that why not prepare for the IIT, and I told them doesn't seem to be my cup of tea. Right? Uh, so I enjoy only physics and chemistry. I don't enjoy maths. Right? And beyond that, when I'm reading physics and chemistry, my interest is going in further ahead, which doesn't get answered by physics and chemistry. I would like to go for philosophy and psychology, and if possible, comparative religion. So that is where I was moving actually, and I took that stand that I'll go by what I need, what I want. And those are the best 3 years of my life in terms of exploring, being in the environment that I want to do, researching, reading, a lot of social entrepreneurship also, as I told you that I was teaching our children. So those are the best years. And thereafter again the pressure comes कि ये सब करते रहोगे कुछ settle भी हो गए. And I did my MBA and settled down. But I'll say that those are the best 3 years, and that is continuing to give me mileage even now. The way I approach my career, which is a little different from a typical kind of a corporate career actually.
so as you say, to understand culture, to understand people, it is very important. So what is the value or importance of culture in an organization? Like how important and what important role does it play in an organization?
Great. That's a wonderful question to ask actually. Uh, we can get the best of the people in any team or in any organization or any institution, but there has to be, it's like no, you can get the plants of the best quality, but what is the soil that you give them? So culture is that soil actually. We can have the best business plan, we can have the best business strategy, but if the culture is not there, and what does culture mean? It is about the way, the smell of the place, right? The way people interact. Is it respectful? Is it inclusive? Is it participative? Is it collaborative? Right? Is it values driven? Right? Is it thinking broader? Right? For example, the purpose of Hindalco is that we want to make the world a greener, smarter, and a stronger place, which is in total alignment with my own life purpose. So if that alignment is not there, it will be very difficult for me to kind of just spend my time for a salary check, which comes at the end of the day. Right? So from the talent attraction and retention point of view, it is culture is important. For talent to uh, perform to the best of their potential, culture is important. and for it to be a nice place to work, a great place to work, that we say, right? What we are aspiring in our HR strategy, that every day is a great day. Suppose you and I are interacting in any conversation, that's an uplifting conversation, and that takes a lot of skills. That takes a lot of thinking that together, and a lot of decisions together. This is how we want the place to be actually, which every moment, every day is an uplifting moment, uplifting day. So we can discuss more, but culture is very, very important for talent, and personally for me also, that's a uh, very important for me to work at a place that culture uh, of the place is aligned to my way of working, or at least the expression for the culture is that way.
And so, what according to you is future of learning and future of work?
So let me come to your first question, the future of learning. So I see it in two ways. Learning is part of my portfolio also over here, and learning is something of interest to me. I will say that I see it in two ways: Big Bang in and Big Bang out. Let me explain what is Big Bang in and Big Bang out. Big Bang out, we all are very comfortable with. For example, this interaction of ours is an outcome of the technology growth, right? That we are doing it on Zoom or Teams or Google Meet or whatever. There's a lot of technology explosion which is happening, and that is uh, aiding the spread of the learning and the easy access to learning. For example, this is going on YouTube also. Right? The students who are not there today, they will be also able to access this. Right? You know about machine learning, you know about artificial intelligence. Quantum computing is another field which is coming in. It is kind of making the impossible possible, the impossible till now possible. So that's the big bang out, which is happening in terms of technology and the deep technology and the pace of the technology change. Similarly, if you notice the other side, and I'm sure that many of you would be noticing it, and you'll start noticing much more the big bang in the interest in the world within actually, right? The world within, that is the mindfulness, the heartfulness, the importance of compassion in dealing with people, the importance of unconditional acceptance, love, and affection for people, right? As you said, culture part, right? That is all something to do from within actually. Uh, Understanding more of our total potential, total consciousness. Right? There's a conscious part of it, and there's a subconscious part of it, and there's an unconscious part of it. There's something like theory U, that is how do we uh, how do we allow the larger consciousness, the collective consciousness, to work through us and not come in the way of that working through us. How do we make ourselves a channel of the larger wisdom to operate through us? There are things which are happening in the world within actually. They're happening all over the world. Right? So like theory U, though it is happening in US and Germany, but it is inspired by our own Patanjali, the Yoga Sutra, and they acknowledge that. So there's a huge opportunity for you people to contribute either side or both the sides together, actually, in terms of the future of learning. And I see it going together, because if we have to handle effectively the big bang out, there is a technology explosion. Effectively means that meaningfully, for the good of yourself and the good of others actually, you need to explore the world within the big bang in part of it actually, the world of larger consciousness, the world of mindfulness, the world of heartfulness, the compassion, affection, love, making yourself a better person, and wherever whoso you come in touch with, uh, making leaving them little better than what they were. earlier. Yeah, that's how I see the future of learning. That Big Bang in and Big Bang out going together.
And so, future of work.
Yeah. So future of work is that I'll give my own views on that. See, typically we have imagined work it's happening in fact specified places. Right? Time has come that where the work has to go to the talent, not the other way around. So, and especially we have experienced that in this COVID era, that it's a myth that work can happen only if you're physically present. There are advantages of being physically present together. I'm not denying that. But as far as work is concerned, that can happen from anywhere, right? But and at any time. So there's I see more of flexibility in the way the work is going to happen. I see also a lot of change in the workforce um, this, demography. They can be from part timer, full timers, and the gig workers, right? You can be, and that is already begun actually. It's not something which is going to be future of work. The future has already arrived. It's a matter of accepting it more. Yeah? Uh, Also, we see that in the future of work, the uh, whatever is routine and whatever is something which can be done better by utilizing automation or the digitalization. So that part will happen more, and where you require the human wisdom, right? That is the kind of, so the human part of the work will move up the value chain. I don't see digitalization and automation as a challenge to the employment. I only see that it creating a different kind of possibility for the humans to go up the value chain in terms of doing the work. So flexibility, that is what I see uh, more and more. Uh, Openness and less hierarchical. The way the world going forward is not. It's a network. It's not a hierarchy. So the today's organizations they are more based. They take the inspiration from the military forces actually, chain and command. Right. It had its utility. It had served it. It had served its purpose. Now it's the age of knowledge and wisdom, so it's not going to be hierarchical. That since Mohit has worked for 27 years in the industry, so he has to be the boss. Not necessarily. Maybe that some of you know a field where you can be the boss, right? And why there's a need for a boss? It's that you come together and whosoever knows the best, he leads it for that particular period. So more of flexibility, less hierarchical, more of networking, and more of technology, and that will make that mm, journey within also important going forward.
So, I'll take a question from the audience. So, COVID work from home has impacted people and their lives a lot. Being an HR, making sure that employees are engaged is also a big task, especially with engineers and other people. How do you ensure that culture of the company is also prevalent at that time?
Oh, fortunately, we have done well, and uh, as an organization, Dalco as an organization, and I'm not saying because I'm an HR, because it is not something which is done by HR only. It is done by the culture of the organization. It is done by each and every employee. Uh, so during COVID, the first priority was safety of the employees. Safety first. That's what the right. So whether it be vaccination, whether it be the protocols, whether it be the required hygiene, whether it is uplifting our medical facilities because we are present all over the country. So, so that was the first priority. And once we do that part, employees themselves take care of the rest of the thing. So we kept our plants running. Well, the culture is that uh, culture is that of volunteerism actually, right? That there's a challenge, we all come together, we extend ourselves, and we ensure that show keeps going on for our customers, for our employees. And if you have seen that movie 300, right? People standing by each other in the battle. That's how it worked. That everybody stood by each other, and especially whether we wave one or whether we wave two. In the wave two, that we had formal mechanisms to help people out, but wave two, it was so lethal. People were personally impacted, including I also, my family also. Things didn't go well, but people stood by each other. So the formal mechanism was just not enough. The organization mechanism was just not enough. The volunteers in the organization across, they didn't have to wait for the decisions from the management to do the right things. Somebody has to be admitted, somebody's bills have to be paid, somebody's medicines have to be arranged, somebody's oxygen has to be arranged. You don't need the approval from the managers. That is what we communicated. Just go ahead and do it. Yeah. So that reflected the care of the organization. We still lost some people in terms of the not employees, but their family members in different parts of the country. Also employees, because even after the best efforts, you're only human. So, but demonstrated a different culture that we will be happy to see that happening in the normal times without challenge. It was like absolutely collaborative, volunteerism, speed, the sense of purpose that every life is important. Yeah. And it, day and night, it's not like that they're fixed hours, because somebody may need hospital at 4 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the night, and network was on. Our WhatsApp groups and the Teams group was on. Somebody or the other is working on that. Right? We had hundreds of volunteers. It was not a mandate. It was hundreds of volunteers who worked on those groups. There was a struggle to get the medicine, even with all your contacts. There was a struggle to get the beds. So even with all your strength, it was a chaos at that point of time. But people came together and did their best together. That demonstrated the culture of the place. Uh, while there's a sad part of it, we still lost people, but there's a happy part of it that this is how we responded to the challenge together.
So at the end, I would like to ask you: is there anything you want to tell, suggest, advise to the students?
So I'll just repeat the question that was asked of me in one of the interviews. Uh, I was appearing for the interview for SRF actually, and the question that was asked to me was that how do you relate with employees? Right? And mine was a very small answer actually, very short answer. That is honesty and transparency. That's it. That's it. The answer is over actually. So, and that is not true for uh, employees. It's true for any relationship actually. So just be true to yourself, uh, honest to yourself. Let's not deceive ourselves. What really we want. Be clear. It's not an easy question to answer. What do I want? But be at it. The question is important. Answers keep changing because what you want now and what you want 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line is very, very different actually. But be at it. Ask that question. What do I want? Really? What do I want really? And go for it. And transparency, that builds the authenticity. That at least your relationship with yourself is great. And once that is great, the relationship with others, all others, be it your friends, colleagues, boss, will fall in place. So work towards that honesty and transparency. Go to the world the way you are. Don't have to necessarily practice group discussion skills and all. That will come automatically. Just be yourself. Don't have to really try to impress people. Impress yourself. Others will get impressed. Go for that relationship. the best relationship, that is your relationship with yourself, and pursue it with honesty and transparency. Because you will continue to be with you throughout. Others will come and go. You'll realize अभी प्लस टू खत्म हुआ, फिर भी MBA जाएगा, फ्रेंड्स बनेंगे, फ्रेंड्स जाएंगे, कॉर्पोरेट में होगे, एक जॉब करोगे, दूसरा जॉब, फ्रेंड्स बनेंगे, फ्रेंड्स जाएंगे, but you will be there with yourself. Yeah, so honesty and transparency is the message, and that's a life message. It's not only the corporate message.
So, thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful session. I am sure each one of us listening to you, who got the opportunity to listen to you, will integrate honesty in our life. Will learn, will experience different things, and I'm sure just the way you did, we'll try to learn from our own experience and see where we can improve ourselves in the next step. So thank you so much for giving us an opportunity, and I will sure will learn and incorporate the learnings in our life. Thank you.
I wish you all the best, my dear friends, and happy to be there with you. And thanks for the opportunity to interact with the young minds. Happy to. So it was a great conversation. Wishing you all the best for future.
Thank you so much, sir.